Let me just share my screen. Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. All right, so before we start, I just would like to ask you guys if you have a question so far, questions or clarifications regarding with your laboratories, the lab number 7 and 8. How are you guys doing? So, may I know who still wasn't able to download and install the Visual Studio? Anyone? So, all of you here are already
Me,
able to
sir.
download? Yes, Mr. Borja, were you able to download it and install?
Sir, hindi po po.
Oh, so you have to download it now as early as possible because we now only have 3 weeks, okay, more or less 3 weeks left, and you have a lot of things to do. Okay, lab number 7, and then 3 quizzes. I mean, yeah, I think it's 3 quizzes or 2 quizzes. Yeah, 2 quizzes, I guess. And then for the module 8, we have another 3 quizzes, wherein you won't be able to do those activities without the Visual Studio. So uh, everything, okay, all of the activities that we are going to do on the finals is coming from your Visual Studio. Okay, so you should have a Visual Studio. So you can have a
Yes, sir.
Visual Studio 2015, 2019, 2013, 2012. Okay, so it's okay. Okay, if it's at 2012, but 2007 or 2005, the interface is already quite different. Okay, though you can still figure it out since most of them still the same, but some of the interface are already different. Okay. Well, anyway, so
Sir, free software din po. Free software po yan, sir.
yes, yes, it's free software. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, welcome. Okay, so let us start now with the module 8. So as you guys can see right here, maybe one thing that you will notice is this one is a Visual Basic 2005. Yes, this tutorial itself, the concept itself of this one is based from the 2005 Visual Basic. But before until today, the basics, the foundation, the syntaxes, how you do things is still the same. Okay, so even though this one is already 16 years old, okay, concept, we're still using the same concept. Okay, so we didn't change anything on how to program things. Okay, it's just that the interface changed a little. Okay, so in this module 8, we'll talk about Visual Basic branching, and then message boxes, and then input box. Okay, so without a further ado, let's start. So let's start with branching. So what is branching? So branching statements are used to cause certain actions within a program if a certain condition is met. Okay, so to make it simple, if this statement is true, this condition is true, let's say a condition statement is true, then you can execute a certain statement or a certain function. Okay, well, that is only if it's true. But if it's false, then nothing will happen. As simple as that. Okay. So let me give you guys a simple, a diagram or a syntax. So we have here the condition. So let's say the condition is if your age is 18 and below, you will not be able to enter the club since that's illegal, right? If you're still 18 and below, 18 below, okay. But if you're already 18 and above, then you can now enter to the club. Okay, so in here, if you are still under 18, then if it's yes, then this will be executed. You won't be able to enter to the club. But if you are 18 and above, so in here we don't have a statement. Okay, so nothing will happen. Okay, so nevertheless, you won't be able to enter to the club anyway. Okay, but of course you can put here the other way around wherein you will be able to enter to the club. Okay, so as you guys can see, if this condition is true, this statement will be executed. So if you have another statement right here, so if this condition is false or let's say no, okay, then this statement will be executed. Okay, as simple as that. So we only have two possible result. But in here, in the syntax right here, if this condition is true, then this statement will be executed. But if this statement is false, then nothing will happen, since that is the only thing that we have in this syntax. So to give you guys more idea, we have an example right here. So if balance is less than 0, then this code right here will be executed. So you don't need to analyze what is the result. You don't need to analyze what is the syntax for now. Just know the concept, okay? Just learn the concept. So in here, if this is true, this will be executed. If this is false, then nothing will happen. Okay, so another example, if this is true, this will be executed. And then if this is false, then nothing will happen. Okay, and if this is true, this will be executed. And if this is false, then nothing will happen. As simple as that. Okay, so later on, we're going to have a real example for you guys to appreciate what I'm talking about. So let's have a sample problem number one. So in here, it is asking us to write a VB program that allows. Record ko ba? Ah, yeah. Okay. So, buti naman. I thought I forgot to click the record button. Anyway, so in here, it's asking us to write a VB program that allows the user to input an integer. If the value is greater than or equal to 0, display the message positive using a message box. Okay. So let me just open my Visual Studio. So in my case, I'm using 2019. So I'm not sure if there is already a 2020 version or 2021. So let's create a new project. And of course, I'll choose Windows Forms app.net framework. Okay. And then click next. And then I'll name this one as sample problem number one. Okay. And then click create. So in here, you can choose any version of that framework that will work. But I do recommend you guys to use 4.6 and above. Okay. So less than that, it may cause some inconsistencies. So better use the updated version. So if not 4.8, you can use 4.7.2, 4.6.1, etc. etc. As long as it's 4.6 and above. Okay. So after that, just click create and then wait 5 to 10 seconds. So if you guys have a question, so just ask me anytime, okay? So you don't need to raise your hand anymore. Just speak right away. You just type it on the chat box. Okay, so of course it will give us a blank uh, form. Okay, there's one right here. So what we need is a text box, a label, and then a button. Okay, so text box, I'll just type here text, and then I can now find text box right here. Oops. And then a label, and then a button. So I can, oops, it's now a little bit lagging. So I can group those three and then find the font, and then I can now change the font size. So I'll just change it to 30 so that you guys can see it, you know, clearly. So we have here the text box, the label, and then the button. So in here, the name of our button is test, and then input number for the label. So input number. So just look for the text. Okay, so after clicking the label, okay, and then under the properties right here of the label one, okay, just find the text and then change the default name of that one into your preferred name. Okay, so the same with button one. So after clicking this button one, go to the properties and then find the text right here, and then I'll change this button one into this. Okay, and then hit enter to change this one. So there you go. I now have my first example number one interface. Now, the only thing that it lacks is the code itself. So for you to be able to program this one, so the one that we need to program is the button. Okay, why? Because the code will only be executed once you click the button. Okay, so You must not program a label. You must not program a text box. But in some cases, yes, it's possible. There are some cases that we need to program a text box, but a label, no. Okay, because this is not clickable. You won't be able to execute that code unless it's in the form of onload or on start upload. Okay, so in here, this is the one that we're going to program. Okay, so that it will be only executed once we click this button. Okay, and then after that it will lead us to this coding section. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is we have to declare a variable. So any variable will do. So dim x, dim y, dim z, dim a, dim b. So even a word is possible. So let's say dim variable one. Okay, so any name will do. Okay, but there are just some variables that you cannot use. For example, you cannot use a variable private. So you won't be able to use that one. So as you guys can see, it deleted the dim and then it jumps to private, and then or something like this. It will give you a squiggly red line, meaning private is not valid on a local variable declaration. Why? Because it is already used as a default keywords. Okay, on our function of the button right here. So you cannot use private. You cannot use sub. What else? Maybe glass. I think it's also not also possible. Yeah, yeah. Keyword is not valid as an yeah. This is not also possible. So there are some variables that we cannot use. Okay, so just be careful on that one. Well, anyway, it will give you an error. Okay, so let you know that you won't or you cannot use that specific variable. So in here, I'll just use a single word, I mean a single text variable. So let's say dim x, okay, and then as integer, okay. So why integer? That's because in here it is asking us that it says here write a video program that allows the user to input an integer. Okay, so we have many kinds of declarations. So I hope you guys have already watched the uh, module 7, okay, the tutorial module 7. So I taught there the different types of a variable. So we can have a string, we can have a double, we can have a single, okay. So we can have boolean, okay, we have a lot. But when it comes to numbers, of course, it's either integer only or let's see double if you want it to accept a decimal. Okay, but since the requirement in example number 1 is integer, so I'll use here integer. Okay, so after that, I will now pass whatever is the result of this text box 1, okay, onto my variable x. Okay, so x is equal to text box 1 the text. So by default, if you only have one text box, so the default name of that one is text box 1. Okay, and then don't forget the that text, the properties of that one, an indicator that it is a text box. So if I have another text box, so I just copy and paste this one. So one thing that you guys will notice is the name of this one now is text box 2. So it's logical. Okay, so of course it's incrementing. So the unique name of this one is text box 1, unique name of this one is text box 2. If you have another one, of course it's now 3. Okay, if another one, it's now 4. Simple as that. Okay, so whatever is the name of your text box, so let's say I'll retain here the text box 2. So that is the one that you should put in here. So text box to the text. So that doesn't mean that if you only have one text box, that's already text box 1. Okay, so that still depends on whatever is the name of that text box. Okay, because there are some cases wherein we put so many text boxes but we only need two. Okay, so with that we are now assuming that it's text box 1 and 2, but it is not. Okay, so you have to double check what is the real name of that text box, or that specific component. Okay, so in here we have text box what is it? Yeah, text box 2, text box 3, and then text box 4. Okay, of course, I'll only use one, so I just put here text box to the text. Okay. So next thing, So the condition right here is if the value is greater than or equal to 0, display the message positive using a message box. Okay, so it's super simple. So if, and then the condition. So our input will now be coming from text box 2, and then it's being passed to our variable x. So if x is less than, ano ba? Dapat positive lang. Okay. Oops. Wait a second. It is now lagging. So we can put here if x is equal or greater than 0, okay, or greater than x, then message box, close and open parenthesis, oops, dapat nasa after lang din to. Then message box, close and open parenthesis, oops, nakalimutan ko yung 0. And then we'll put here positive. Why do we have an error? Then message box, msg box. My bad, my bad. Then okay, error. Then message box is equal to positive. What is wrong? If x is greater than or equal to 0, then message box. So you can actually use two types of message box. So we have the complete name, and then we have the shortcut name, which is MSG and then box. So they are just the same. But for some cases, I don't know, this one is not working. This message box right here. Okay, so let's just use the shortcut version of message box. Okay. Anyway, so let's try this one. So after putting the code, then you can now click start, and then wait maybe 5 seconds. Okay, since it's the first initialization, so we can now test here the number. Let's say 1, and then click test. So of course it's positive. Okay, and then if it's a 0, then of course it is also positive since the one that we put here is greater than or equal to a 0. Okay, so if it's -1, of course it will do nothing. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about a while ago. So if this is true, this will be executed. However, if this is false, then nothing will happen since we didn't put anything in here. Okay, but of course you can make another condition so that we can copy that one and then change this one into less than, okay, less than 0. Then instead of positive, just change this one into negative, and then control S. Oops, my bad. So you have to stop that one first before you can add this one. So if it's 1, of course it's positive. Okay, but if it's negative, okay, then of course it will now give us a result of negative since we have here another set of condition and then statement. Okay, so are we clear so far? Are you guys able to follow? Okay, so one thing that I would highly recommend or yeah advise to you guys is just try to copy and paste for now. Okay, since mostly this is your first time doing some programming, so you can copy everything. Okay, whatever I'm doing right here, copy and then paste it with your own Visual Studio and then make it work. Okay, and then that's the time that you can explore once it is completely working. So you can start maybe changing the text from negative to anything that you want. Okay, you can change the condition into let's say instead of less than 0, it could be less than 5, okay, less than 10, and so on and so forth. So start with the basic first. Okay, all right, so that's it for example problem number 1. So let's now move on to sample problem number 2. So it says here, write a program that inputs two integer numbers. Thereafter, the program should determine if these two integer numbers are equivalent. So if they are equivalent, use a message box to display the word equivalent. So in here, we need two labels and then two outputs. Two labels and then two text box. So input number, and then I'll just change this one into input another number. So what I did a while ago is I just highlighted this one and then Control C and then Control B. So you can do that one, okay, for faster making of uh, or putting of components that you'll be needing. So the text box 2 and then text box 1. So to avoid confusion, let me just swap those two. Okay, so text box 1 first and then followed by text box 2. And then instead of test, maybe I can change this one into verify they are equivalent. Change this one into a bigger button. So of course you can change this one. You can change the back color also. Back color into let's say yellow. Okay, and then these two into let's say light blue. Okay, so yeah, and then this one into so instead of back color, just go with four color, and then let's say into red. So there you go. You now have a colorful interface. Okay, just the basics. So after that, you can now start programming the code. So let's start, from the scratch. So let's say this, you don't have any code for now. So just double click this one, and then it will lead you to this button one click again. So in here, we need two variables now. So dim x. So you can do this one comma and then y as integer. Okay. So meaning we are declaring those two at the same time as integer. Okay. So the first one will be pass x is equal to text box 1 dot text. So we are passing the value of text box 1 into our variable x. So the same with the other one, y is equal to text box 2 dot text. Okay, so what we're doing here again is we are passing this one into variable x and then this one into variable y. And then we will use those variables to compare with each other. Okay, so if x is equal to y, then message box, then it should be equivalent if they are equal. Okay, but if they are not equal, then you can just copy this one again and then paste another, with another condition. Let's say not equal. So the not equal in here is greater than or less than or greater than. Okay, so it's something like this. So this is the symbol for not equal. Okay, then message box not equivalent. Okay, then you can now start if it's working or no. So input a number. So let's say 1 and then 1. So we're expecting a result of equivalent. So yes, they are equivalent. But what about if it's 1 and then negative 1? Okay, then of course it will show as in a result of not equivalent. Okay, so this one now did go to the second condition. Okay, so in here we declare this one as a integer. Okay, but what if I did put here 1.1, okay, and then in here let's say 1.2. Okay, let's say 1.1 and then 1.2. So one thing that you guys will notice is they are still equal. Why? Because when we say integer, it's only reading the whole number. It neglect, okay, or it rejects the decimal point. Okay, so the point one and then the point two here is not being read. Okay, so they are being neglected or ignored. Okay, so I hope we are clear with that one. So 1.1 and 2.2 is of course not equal. So are we clear with example number 2 so far? Hello guys. Hello. Are you guys still around?
Yes, sir.
So how was it? How was it for our first two examples? Well, I'm assuming that this is your first two examples. If you haven't watched the video for the module 7 yet, so I hope you guys have already experienced a lot of examples, basic examples. So this is also basic, but with the use of the conditional statements. Okay, so yeah, that's it for the example number 2. So again, just try to recreate this one using your own Visual Studio. So the next one is sample problem number 3 and then sample problem number 4. So for the sample problem number 3, so I gave this one as your third quiz. Okay, so if you guys are going to check your module, so in here, the third quiz is the sample problem number 3, and then the fourth quiz is the sample problem number 4. For the fifth quiz, so we're still quite far away with this one. So this one is under the case statement. Okay, so just ignore this one for now. So you can start doing the sample problem number 3 and then sample problem number 4. Okay, so I have an additional output in here. So I did mention here that we have one input but we have two outputs. Okay, so let's go back with your sample problem number 3. So it says here the ABC Manufacturing Company plans to give a year-end bonus to each of its employees, and then write a program that will compute the bonus of an employee by considering the following criteria. So we have here the first criteria. If the employee's monthly salary is less than 10,000, the bonus is 25% of the salary. Okay, so that is already your first output. So you have to compute the 25% of this 10,000 right here. Okay, so which is of course 2,500. However, we have another condition right here. So for employees with salaries are greater than or equal to 10,000, then the bonus is a fixed 2,500. Okay, so this is still the first output. Okay, so if it's less than 10,000, then you have to compute the 25% of that one. So if it's 5,000, then the 25% of that one is 1,250. Okay, but if it's 10,000 and above, then it is a fixed bonus, which is 2,500. So even though you have a salary of 100,000, 1,000,000, you will still get a bonus of 2,500. Okay, because that is the requirement for this sample problem number 3. So determine and display the bonus of an employee. So in here, it's only asking the bonus, but in my case, I need you guys to solve for the total computed salary. So for example, if you have a salary of 10,000, so of course your bonus is 2,500. So I would like you guys to display the total computed salary. Okay. So when I see total computed salary, it is the bonus plus your current salary. So 10,000 plus 2,500 is equal to 12,500. Okay, so if you have 100,000 salary, so 100,000 plus 2,500 is equal to 102,500. Okay, so that is the second output. So that is the reason why I did put here, I need two outputs. Okay, let me just edit this one. Uh, Determine and display the bonus and the total computed salary. salary plus the bonus. Okay, so yeah, so that this one now is much more clearer. Okay, so are we clear with your third quiz?
Yes, sir.
Hmm. Okay, so for the next one, what happened? It is lagging. Okay, so for the next one, we have here the time check. We still have 4 minutes. So sample problem number four. So this one is super easy, a lot easier than the third quiz. So write a program that will allow user to input an integer and then determine and display if the integer entered is an even number. So all you need to do is, put there a label and then one text box, okay, and then one button, and then just verify if it's an even number. So if it's an odd number, then display nothing. But if it's even, then you have to display that the number that you have inputted is an even number. Okay, so yeah, as simple as that. Okay, no twist when it comes to sample problem number four. And then for the sample problem number five, so I didn't gave this one as your quiz or activity since this is one is an example only. Okay, so in here, in temperature countries like Japan, so there are 4 seasons. So they have from April to June, they have spring, July to September is summer, October to December is autumn, and January to March is winter. So we wish to write a program that allows the user to select a date using datetime picker, and then the output of the program is the season associated with that month and a picture of the season. Okay, so we have here the numbers. Okay, 4 to 6 is June, which is spring. 7 to 9 is September, which is summer. 10 to 12 is December, which is autumn. And then 1 to 3 is March, which is a winter, or January to March, rather. Okay, so all you need to do is find a picture. Okay, so in my case, I use a different picture. So you can use this one for the spring, you can use this one for summer, for autumn, and then for winter. So here's the sample code for this one, and then here's the sample interface for this one. So to make this one quick, let me just find if I have uh, open project. If I have this one, Visual Basic Branching, exercise sample problem number five. Yeah, number five. Okay, so I already have here the sample interface. We have a label which is his name date, and then we have here a date time picker wherein I didn't change anything on this one. So by default, it's already the current date right now. So it's July 12th, 2021, which is Saturday. And then we have here a picture box. So if I change the let's say the date time picker right here or the calendar, so it will change the respective picture of that one. So if it's July, what is July? Is it July is summer? Okay, July to September is summer. Okay, so it should display here a picture of summer. Okay, so here's the code for this one. Okay, so in here I only declared one variable. Okay, and then the one that we program is the date time picker, so that it will only be triggered if we change the date, okay, or the month of this one. So just double click and then it will lead you to this date time picker value change. So in here I declared one variable, and then what we are getting in here is the value of the month, okay, of this date time picker. So daytime picker that value at month, and then it's being passed to this m right here. So if this m is less than or equal to 4, or less than, okay, or equal to 6, then it will change the picture into this picture right here. Okay, So this one is the location of that picture. Okay, so I don't know if I still have that on my computer. So I think I don't have that one anymore. But anyway, so the correct location is local DC, folder users, and then folder Ryzen 5, and then folder pictures, another pictures. Okay, and then the name of that picture itself. Okay, and then the extension, which is JPG. So if this is true, then it will change the picture into whatever is this picture right here. Okay, so the same with the other conditions, just a different month. Okay, so I guess we don't have enough time anymore. So we'll just continue this one